Would you be the jerk if you reported your disabled neighbor? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for not answering the door when my ex's mom showed up at my apartment unannounced? This happened a couple of years ago, but I was talking about crazy mother-in-law stories with a friend, and she thinks I was the jerk. I have sole custody of my children. My ex and his family live about a 9-hour drive from me. One day at around 9 a.m., there was knocking on my bedroom window. I peek through the bottom of the blinds and just see women's sneakers. So I peek higher and make eye contact with my ex's mom. All I can think is, what? The apartments where I live are not gated, so anybody can drive onto the property, just not go in the buildings without a key, which means my ex's mom couldn't knock on my door because she couldn't enter my building. Anyway, now that she's seen me, I change and go see why she's there. Only reason why she has my address is because a few months back she asked to mail some stuff for the kids, and I dumbly gave her my address. She tells me she was in the neighborhood. I asked her why she didn't call me before arriving, and she said it was a last-minute decision. I let her in and she sees the kids for a bit. When she leaves, I tell her next time she needs to give me a heads up before arriving, and I'm not talking 10 minutes before, I need at least a 1-week notice. So this is where I might be the jerk. About 4 months later, she pulls the stunt again. When I hear the tapping on my window, I know exactly who it is. I don't bother looking out the window. She starts calling me. After the 5th call, I answer. She tells me to open up because she wants to see the kids. I'm like, what? I'm not even home. Why didn't she tell me she was coming? I'm 45 minutes away visiting my dad with the kids. She demands dad's address. I refuse to give it to her. I tell her I have no idea when I'll be home. Yes, complete lie. Anyway, she doesn't believe me. She thinks I'm home. Again, says it was a last-minute decision. I hang up on her. I'm getting texts from ex demanding I let his mom see the kids. I tell him what I told her. I'm not home. Imagine my surprise when I hear the police banging on my door a few minutes later. I don't answer. I get a call from a random number, the police officer. He's there to perform a wellness check because ex's mom hasn't heard from me in 3 days and she's extremely worried. Also, according to him, it's illegal not to answer the door when a police officer knocks. I tell him she's lying. I just spoke to her on the phone. She showed up unannounced. I made it clear to her to not do that, and I'm out with family and I don't need to come back just because she showed up unannounced. She's ex's mom and I don't have to talk to her. After that phone call, I get a text from ex calling me a jerk and how hard would it have been to let his mom see the kids when she drove all the way there just to see them. I want to make it clear, I don't mind her visiting, I don't mind her being around my kids, but I can't stand her showing up unannounced and demanding to see my kids like that. It was like she was on a weird power trip. OP's not the jerk. I'm glad that this police officer didn't go on like some kind of power trip and hold OP liable for something that I really don't see how they should be held liable for. Also, is that true? Is there a place in like the United States where it would be illegal if you don't answer the door when a police officer knocks? I mean, I'm no legal scholar, but that doesn't really sound like a very legal thing to try to uphold. Like, what happened to, this is a private domicile and I will not be harassed? Where were the adults commented, not the jerk. Women weaponize the police against you. Woman no longer gets any part of your life. Next time she tries anything, just use the phrase, you called the police on me. When she deflects, you lied to the police. Just keep banging on some version of that. X gets the same story. She called the police on me and then lied to them. She is dangerous. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for wanting to treat myself for my birthday instead of penny pinching the whole time? I, 27-year-old female, have been with my boyfriend, 32-year-old male, for 2.5 years. For my birthday, I wanted something special. We basically never do romantic things besides hikes. I like them okay, but he lives for them. No dinners, no movies, no city trips, nothing. His take is that cities are vapid and superficial, and nature is healthier and spiritual. This year, I suggested a weekend in Vienna, Austria. It's a 4-hour drive from us. I budgeted the whole thing and saved for it. 700 euros total for the both of us. Travel, hotel with breakfast, museums, eating out, everything. That's about 350 euros each. It would be 2 nights, 3 days. I have a salary of 1,300 euros and he has something similar. Doable, right? Well, apparently not. He flipped because I wanted to get a hotel room because of breakfast. because honestly I don't feel like grocery shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning food while on such a short trip, and I want to make the most of the city. He says that's spoiled and snobby. He said I'm acting like a princess in a derogatory way. He offered a compromise, get a cheap room, the ones that have shared bathroom with other rooms, and even suggested that we pre-cook 3 days worth of food at home and lug it with us to Vienna so we don't have to eat out. Or I could eat breakfast out every day if I want, but still get the cheap room. Honestly, I don't really feel like sharing my toilet in the morning and waiting in line to pee while some random dude is in there. Meanwhile, if we go to a cafe, he says he'll sit with me but won't order anything because it's too expensive and unhealthy. He is very much against eating out, thinks it's splurgy and snobbish, which sounds less like a birthday trip and more like me eating alone with an audience. His reasoning, he wants to save money to eventually escape the rat race and buy land or property, which, fair. I want a house someday too, but does that mean we can't ever enjoy ourselves in the present? When I said no to the hostel, he flipped it back on me. You never compromise. To me, though, compromise shouldn't mean downgrade until only one person is happy, so now I'm torn. Do I compromise and risk spending my birthday trip in a sketchy hostel and listening to him grumble about croissants being luxury? But maybe it might turn out to be a nice trip? Or do I cancel the whole thing, not see Vienna, but save my sanity? By the way, the hotel room for 2 nights and breakfast is 250 euros, and shared room is 150 euros per night. Would have to cook in or eat out breakfast. Am I the jerk for refusing to compromise on this? I think OP's not the jerk here. In my opinion, life is too short to be so hung up about your finances. Like, yes, it is good to be frugal. It is good to be smart about your finances, but this is an expense that you can't afford and keep on ticking. You know, it's not like OP's out here saying that we're 5,000 euros in debt and we're still trying to find a way to spend 750 euros on a trip that we really don't have to take. I'm just saying, if OP wants to stay in a mildly nice hotel room and eat luxury croissants, they deserve to do so on their birthday, dang it. Horror Spirit 952 commented, take a friend instead. I understand not wanting to spend frivolously to derail financial goals, but being able to spend for a special occasion should be worked into your goals. Even if you save a small amount for 6 months to afford the trip, it should be part of the plan. If you have different philosophies on spending, this will always be an issue. I have friends who are married to cheap men and basically see everything as spoiled and unnecessary. It causes a ton of issues, and they always feel undervalued because they don't feel worth the occasional splurge. Really consider if you want to live your life with this dude. I wouldn't. This next story is, am I the jerk for buying dishware at a thrift store before someone else could? This happened a few weeks ago and I can't stop thinking about it. I went to Goodwill and saw a really lovely set of wood plates and 2 matching bowls. I actually needed them for their intended purpose. I was going to grab the stuff, but there was this woman standing in front of them with her phone out, loudly complaining about how she can't find the maker's mark on the dishware as the bottoms were left blank. I assumed she was one of those resellers as her cart was filled to the brim with glassware, and I did see a leather jacket in there too. I walked up next to her and asked if she was going to buy the dishes. She glared at me and said yes and told me to get lost. She was here first. So I just said fine, no need to be rude, lady. It was a simple yes or no question. I walked away to go look elsewhere, and she was now looking in the books, but the wood dishes were not in her cart. I walked over, saw them still on the shelf, and put them in mine. As I walked away, she came back and noticed I had them in my cart, and she started flipping her crap, telling me she was going to buy those as they were from a super high-end artist. I told her she walked away from the shelf and left them there. If she really wanted them, she should have put them in her cart. She immediately started grabbing my cart and taking out everything from my cart, as I found a hoodie thing called The Comfy and some vintage Pyrex in a collectible pattern. She said that I'm taking money away from good people like her and that she was losing sales because of people like me buying crap to use and not resell. I yelled to take her hands off of my crap, and by this point, an employee stalking nearby came over and asked what was going on. Lady tried to say that I stole stuff from her cart. I said she was stealing from mine. Reseller lady looked around and saw a different employee had taken her abandoned cart she left in the book section and was putting her stuff back. She freaked out, dropped my stuff, and ran after him. I looked at the employee who just then waved me off, and I left with my purchases. Told some people about it, and a close friend said that I should have just given her everything because reselling is her job. And another friend agreed with her, but they only said that when I said the comfy was a $50 garment. Edit to add some context, my friends said that they felt bad that she was reduced to being a reseller in this economy. OP can't possibly be the jerk here because they were in the store doing the intended purpose of the store, reselling things for use. These stores aren't there to prop up reseller businesses. Now, to be clear, I respect the hustle behind it. I think it's actually a really interesting thing to do, but part of being a reseller is accepting that other people are going to swoop in and pick up the stuff that, hey, you're going to want to also pick up to resell too. That lady needs to just focus on all the times they've preyed on other people who don't know what they have and gotten a killer resale deal, and shut up about somebody taking a $50 the comfy. Irish Beast commented, "Not the jerk. The whole point of thrift stores is people like you reusing instead of it going in a landfill. People would argue she buying cheap and reselling expensive are the leeches. Thank you for helping the environment. Good on you for saving money, and great, you got something to appreciate." Our next story is, am I the jerk for scheduling a doctor's appointment during a meeting my boyfriend wanted me to attend? My boyfriend owns an Airbnb in a vacation area that another company manages for him. We do use it several times a year. When we go, I end up doing yard and home maintenance because I have the time. He spends the day working from home on his computer. So, the management company is changing hands. They held a video meeting a couple of months ago that I attended for him. It was recorded, so he could have watched it. He never asked me anything about it. They held another meeting tonight. He kept sending me email reminders about the new meeting. I told him I wasn't going to watch this time. It was his turn. He kept telling me that it was important. He's selling the property and won't be Airbnb-ing it anymore, so why do I need to attend the meeting? He continued to send me reminders and talk to me like I was going to attend. I told him if it's that important, then he should watch it. Here's the thing, he was planning on hitting tennis balls with his friends. I again said, if it's that important, you'll make it a priority and skip hitting tennis balls or go a little late. Then I made a doctor appointment for the same time, so I couldn't get guilted into watching it. So, am I the jerk for purposely skipping the meeting? I do think OP's not the jerk here. I will say, I would like to know how long the meeting is. Like, I'm not saying that OP should have relented, especially when he's like, listen, you have to watch this for me. I gotta go play tennis with my friends. Like, I'm assuming these meetings have to be the most, like, teeth-pulling, eye-gouging, mind-numbing stuff if OP would rather go to a doctor's appointment than sit through it. Quinsbush commented, not the jerk, unless your partner is paying for you to be his property manager. He can skip hitting tennis balls with his friends and attend the Zoom meeting about his property he wants to sell. Our next story is, am I the jerk for spending a lot of time at my boyfriend's parents' house without contributing financially? I, 20-year-old female, am in my second year of university. First year there, I met my current boyfriend, 20-year-old male, who's in the same class as me. I live far away, but he lives in the same city as our university's in. I have my dorm room without any roommates. My parents are paying for it, so it's not like I need some place to crash out. My boyfriend can visit me there, but can't stay overnight. That's the main reason why I stay at his place so much time last spring around the time of finals. We studied together, and I helped him a lot. Now he wants me to live with him, his parents, and older brother, works from home, full time. Their house is big. Literally, we can go hours without getting in anyone's way, but here's the issues. I feel like I'm the extra one whenever I'm there. According to my boyfriend, nobody has issue with me being there. Even he said that his mom is saying really nice things about me to relatives and friends. When my boyfriend was with his ex, his mom had no problem saying bad things about her, even in front of my boyfriend. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm a freeloader. I'm not paying rent, I'm not paying for groceries. If we go shopping, I and my boyfriend, we pay for snacks or dine out 50-50. Now I'm staying there mainly on the weekends. I'm eating with them lunch, weekdays, boyfriend and I are eating at the campus. It makes me uncomfortable eating their food because my own parents sometimes mention how expensive feeding me is and my sibling. We don't struggle financially. I don't want his parents to think that I'm a burden. Because of that, I take really small portions and skip breakfast and dinner altogether. So yeah, I'm kind of starving. His mom noticed it, but I never take more because I don't feel like at home to just go to the refrigerator and take whatever I want. So I always ensure to her that I'm fine and don't need more. I love my boyfriend and want to live with him, but staying at his parents' place makes me feel like I don't belong there and shouldn't be there. I'm afraid that somebody's gonna get angry at me for being there so often and eating their food. My boyfriend swears that that will never happen, and his family genuinely likes and are happy I'm helping him with school and stuff. But I still think everything has its own limits, and one day someone snaps at me. So here's my question. Am I the jerk for spending a lot of time at my boyfriend's parents' house without contributing financially and maybe staying there without paying rent? So I will say that it sounds like some communication is probably needed here. At the same time, this is also a situation where OP is feeling so paranoid about this that they're going out of their way to make sure that they're not possibly going to be that person that's like, who's been rifling through the fridge so much? Who's been taking all of X, Y, or Z? To be honest, they probably all think OP is a delight to have around because they're so not in the way of anybody. Marvel Nut commented, "Tell boyfriend's mom how you feel and ask how you can contribute now. For example, help clean up, cook the occasional meal, bring in some groceries or treats for Sunday lunch. The sentiment will be appreciated. Then if you do move in, ask up front how much rent they'd expect you to pay. They may turn that down, but at least you offered." Prestigious Leg 6244 commented, "All of what you said, but OP should also ask herself, what's the rush? If she's happy where she's living and her gut, or is it trauma, is telling her something is off, she should explore that feeling before making any big moves. Don't we tell people to listen to their instincts but investigate and verify? I wouldn't move in until I've fully explored why I'm feeling such a big way about the move. It may be more than one thing that's bothering her." Our next story is, am I the jerk for wanting to live in a concrete box instead of paying for my roommate's decorations? I, 18-year-old female, live in a rent-by-bedroom apartment with two other people, 33-year-old female and 23-year-old female, who both moved in at the end of August. I've been here since late June, and my previous roommates who had lived here for a year took all the decoration and extra furniture with them when they moved out. Personally, I don't care about decoration at all. My friends make fun of me and say every room I've lived in looks like a concrete box or jail cell, but I hardly spend any time in my room and find no joy in decoration. Recently, my roommates brought up buying decorations together because, to be fair, the common area is completely empty besides basic kitchen stuff and one couch. I don't mind and told them as long as they follow the lease's rules on alteration, I don't care what they do to the common areas. They insisted that we should all go get decorations together, and because I also used the common area, I should chip in. This I still refused, because I genuinely have no use for any sprucing up. I also said that I didn't want to spend any extra money on decorating. Working 20 hours a week, I can pay off my own rent and utilities and have some fun money left over. My parents are gracious enough to pay for my tuition left after scholarship, food, and any other expenses. Somehow, they came to the conclusion that because I recently bought a bunch of clothes from the mall, and because my parents still support me, I should have plenty of money to spend. For context, they're both independent adults and pay for everything themselves. Well, I told them no again and that they can do whatever they want, but I'm not going to contribute. It's been a week or two and I don't see any decor in the living room. But the other day, one of my roommates, 33-year-old female, invited some guy over. He made some comment about how sparse the living room was, and my roommate said it was because specifically I didn't want to decorate. She said it jokingly, but it honestly read as passive-aggressive considering the context. I'm not going to be convinced, but am I the jerk for not contributing to a shared space? My best friend did say my room in the general apartment was pretty sad looking, but I would boot up The Sims if I wanted to decorate. I think OP's not the jerk here. I think it's nice to have some creature comforts. I definitely buy some small things for my room or whatever space I'm living in. But also, at the same time, I don't want to go out and splash a whole bunch of money on decorations just to decorate. If I'm working like OP with 20 hours a week with just enough to really kind of cover utility and rent and bills while still having some fun money left over, a poster or a shelf and a plant and whatnot aren't going to be too high on my priority list. Creaky Forest commented, "Not the jerk. I love decorating. I've lived with roommates who also cared immensely and those who didn't. I have split the expenses of common spaces down the middle, paid for most everything myself, and lived in a space where my roommates paid for most of all of the common decor and furniture. There's no right or wrong way to handle this exactly. If it's not important to you, then your roommates can cough up the cash and they'll own the things they buy. They're old enough to understand this. Asking you about it is one thing. Walking back their plans after you decline to chip in and pinning their decision on you is very weird. Our next story is, am I the jerk for excluding my ex's new girlfriend? I, 29-year-old female, am divorced with a 9-year-old daughter. My daughter's father, 32-year-old male, has been in a relationship with a woman called Stephanie for about 6 months now. She has 2 younger daughters, ages 4 and 5. My ex-husband and I have had many conversations about how to ease my own child into their new blended family by making sure that she still has lots of time with her dad, not combining every single special event with the other kids, and keeping lines of communication open. Overall, the introduction has been positive, but my daughter has mentioned that the younger children can be overwhelming and sometimes annoying. However, despite the conversations, every single special event has been blended, for lack of a better word. We're coming up on Halloween, and my daughter has trick-or-treating plans with her best friend and her family. Halloween is my custody time. My ex-husband asked if he could come and bring his new girlfriend and her children. I said no, as I wanted my daughter to be able to have time with her friend without having the other little kids in tow. They're not officially her siblings in any way, and I feel that she deserves protected time just for her. My ex-husband says that I'm purposely excluding his new girlfriend and that I should be more concerned that she doesn't have many friends or others to go out with on that evening. I feel like that's not my problem, and I'm advocating for my own child without having her feel like she needs to people please or feel guilty. I'm not asking my daughter her opinion, as I don't want her to feel burdened with any guilt. I did also invite them to the Halloween event at her school that same week to help initiate balance. Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk. When I was a little kid and I went trick-or-treating, I wouldn't have wanted to go with kids that I didn't really know that well and were also much younger than me. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there's family or I had like a much younger sibling or something, sure, I probably would be happy to go. But you gotta put yourself back in your own 9-year-old shoes, and if you have somebody that's 4 or 5 years old that you don't really know very well, it's almost akin to like the kids of a parent's friend. It's kind of weird, and like maybe the event could be okay enough, but it would be nothing akin to like trick-or-treating with your own actual friends and whatnot. No Classroom 9939 commented, "Not the jerk. As a former 9-year-old, many years ago, I would not have wanted to trick-or-treat with 4 and 5-year-olds. That's when you're just getting into the pivotal pillowcase-filling candy years and running around the neighborhood with your friends. It's awesome you're doing your best to keep the peace. The ex calling it a blended family only 6 months into dating this person is deserving of some side-eye. Your daughter shouldn't have to give up her own childhood moments and memories for such a brand new relationship. Way to advocate for her." Our next story is, am I the jerk for ending vacation early after my parents hijacked it? So a couple of months ago, I mentioned to my elderly parents that I wanted to take my dogs to a national park that's 8 hours away since it's dog friendly and I love to hike. They said they wanted to go too, and I said that was fine, but I wanted to go hiking at least one of the days. A few weeks go by and I look up trails, but I don't make any plans. Things at work got hectic and I was thinking of postponing it until next year, but my dad kept asking. Now, my parents are in their 80s, and my dad really should be in a wheelchair but is too stubborn. He can't do stairs. It's easier for me to plan a dog vacation than a handicap-accessible one. Per usual, they made 0 plans themselves, yet they kept complaining about not going. So, fine. I found an Airbnb that had a ramp and a walk-in shower. I found tours that were handicap accessible. I downloaded self-guided tour apps to my phone so we could just drive around. They wanted to visit the places they went to as children, so I drove them there. I booked it all. It was clear I wasn't going to get a single hike in because they couldn't bother to look up a single activity for themselves. We couldn't even go shopping because my father couldn't walk. We literally sat in the car for 4 days so he could see what he could from the car. My poor dogs were stuck in a car. Neither parent would look up a single thing themselves. When the TV didn't work, I just wanted to relax. But no, I had to go to the store and buy things to try and get the TV to work. I lost my crap on the 4th day and said that we're going home, and I packed them all up and drove home early. They're mad at me, and they say that I have a bad attitude. When I said that I was tired of catering to them, they said they had to cater to me for years. I'm assuming they mean when I was a child. Was I wrong? I feel like they not only hijacked my vacation that I had planned, I also had to pay for it, and I only got to do one thing that I wanted. And somehow, I'm the horrible, ungrateful child for ending things early. This is kind of a nightmare thing, and I would be miserable in it too because I am kind of a people pleaser. It's really hard for me on a personal level to go against somebody that says, I really want to be able to do this with you. Like, if my parents were like, oh, you're miserable and we catered to you all your life, so why can't you just put on a smile and cater to us here? I would have a really hard time being like, no, I'm done with this, walk away from it. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right. FDAR commented, why would you do that? They make no plans, just leave them in the Airbnb and go do your hike. They don't like it? They can choose not to join next time. They're being unreasonable, but looks like you're old enough that you only have yourself to blame for allowing them to hijack your plans. XLM replied, completely agree. Were they unreasonable? Yes. But I also don't understand why you didn't just carve out time each day for yourself. Don't ask permission, just say today from X to Y, I'm taking the dogs for a hike. I'm available between X to Y to do group activities. Don't frame it as a question, don't let them get you upset. Just make it clear when you're available to do things with them and when you're not. Instead, you let your frustration and anger build up to a point where you ended up cutting the vacation short, an extreme reaction, instead of standing your ground much earlier. Our next story is, would I be the jerk if I reported my disabled neighbor? I live with my husband in an apartment in the city center. When we found it, we couldn't believe it was available to rent because both the space and the location in the city are wonderful. We moved in a year ago. The upstairs neighbor is a guy about our age, between 30 and 40, who is disabled and uses an electric wheelchair. He never appeared to be mentally challenged, as he works in IT for a well-known company. This guy had caregivers hired to, for example, help him get dressed, go to bed, and stay with him overnight. The problem is that they almost every night, we're talking at least 5 days a week, make a lot of noise, talking loudly, laughing, and getting the room ready for bed, which includes, I don't know why, dragging furniture around repeatedly or dropping things on the floor. I've never had problems with noise from neighbors in previous homes, and I'm also well aware of what it takes to care for a person with special needs due to my family situation. So, from the beginning, that made me sympathize with him. That's why I was understanding at first, but we're talking about noises that start between 11:30 p.m. and midnight and can go on until 2 a.m. My job requires me to get up very early and be focused. One night, when I had a particularly difficult day ahead of me, I went up to try to talk to him, but they wouldn't open the door for me. So I went up the next day. I asked him to lower the noises and explained I'm acquainted with special needs, but just precisely it perhaps would be a good idea to keep it down from around 22:30 and arrange the room before. He told me he would keep that in mind, that there have been neighbors being aggressive against him, but he has to live too and has right to have his fun. I told him I understood and wished him to have his fun, just considering there were neighbors around. It seemed to work for around 2 weeks, but not anymore. I've even hit the ceiling 2 times due to the loud laughter, and they stopped, just to start again the next night. I'm desperate, but I also get he's deprived of so many fun things that I could be more sympathetic. On the other hand, there's the chance to report him to the real estate agency so that they give him formal notice that he'll have to leave if they receive any more complaints, with a subsequent reduction in my rent. But honestly, I don't care about the money. I just want to be able to sleep before 2 a.m. on a regular basis. I wonder if I would be the jerk if I reported him finally. I'm right there with OP, kind of like with the parents thing from the earlier story. I would be miserable at the idea of reporting this guy who has disabilities, all for the sake of me not being able to sleep through it or whatnot. But OP wouldn't be the jerk if they did do that. It's just hard to feel okay with it. Like me personally, I would feel like, yes, it is an okay thing to do, but I am kind of dragging somebody down in the process. Critical Aspect 2782 commented, not the jerk. In fact, I think OP is very diplomatic and considerate. However, maybe try one more time with the tenant, asking him to keep the noise down, referencing previous discussion, and reinforcing the fact that while he has a right to his fun, he doesn't have a right to infringe on others' quality of life or break tenancy rules. Just wondering, has OP talked to the other tenants in the building and has gotten a reason why previous tenants moved out? OP responded commenting, "Good point. I didn't contact the other tenants because I feel uncomfortable about all this matter, but considering that my neighbor told me the other neighbors have been aggressive towards him, I guess it's likely he was meaning the previous tenants because of this very reason. Thanks a lot for the good idea you suggested." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.